What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today, very special episode. I was fortunate enough to have Max, the president of CCG, and Andy, the head grader at CSG, were able to give me about 35 minutes of their time to sit down and kind of talk all things CSG slash CGC. Most of the focus was on the sports card side of things, talked a little bit about non-sports cards and when they may begin to grade those, touched on eBay authenticity a little bit, their recent price increases, their label change, their grading scale redesign, their grading standards. A lot of good information in here. So I encourage you to watch it all the way through. There's some good stuff in there. Once again, want to thank CSG and Max and Andy for giving me a little bit of time to sit down and go through some stuff. So smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't. Hope you guys and girls enjoy this. Look forward to your thoughts and comments down below. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the interview. All right, we are here with Max, president of CCG, and Andy, the head grader of CSG. First off, thank you guys for coming on and giving me a little bit of time today. I'm excited to talk to you guys. Got a nice long list of stuff to get to here. And shout out to Ray, your director of education, for kind of setting this whole thing up today. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Max, you guys are the newest of what I like to refer to as the big four on the grading scene. Obviously, we've seen a lot of grading companies kind of come to market in the recent boom of the hobby, if you will. You guys kind of came in and kind of kicked the door open because a lot of people knew you from other areas. Can you, for those that might not be familiar with the parent company, CCG, can you kind of talk about some of the other stuff that you guys are into beyond trading cards?
Yeah, for sure. So Certified Collectibles Group, CCG, we were founded in 1987. We started with coins. We were coin grading. We then expanded to comic books, banknotes, stamps, non-sports trading cards, and then finally sports cards in 2021. And since 1987, we've done 72 million collectibles. You know, a significant number of coins. We're the largest coin grading service. We're the largest paper money grading service. We're the largest comic book grading service. And when we saw an opportunity in sports and trading cards that we felt the market was being underserved by the existing grading services, we thought that was a great opportunity for us to enter the market. And it's been incredible. I mean, it's exceeded our wildest expectations. I think you know, we have grown very quickly. We'll get into this in a little bit, I'm sure, but we now have 25 sports card graders, 25 non-sports card graders. It's it's become a very big part of our business.
Now, was sports cards something you guys were initially, like, was that already on a whiteboard somewhere and it got accelerated because trading cards kind of went wild, or would this just happen to be luck on the timing of we were already planning to head in this direction and that market is booming at the same time?
Yeah, we had been planning to head into cards for a long time. I think we started talking about that maybe in 2017 or 2018. We like to spend a lot of time building out our holders, finding the right experts. And that honestly, designing a holder takes us, could take up to a year. Finding experts could take a long period of time too. So it was really about putting those building blocks into place. And once they were ready, then we launched into trading cards. And then we were able to quickly launch into sports cards by leveraging those same holders. But now it's something we had thought about for a long time. We kept hearing that the existing grading services couldn't keep up with the demand. And we've done, coins, banknotes, comic books so successfully that we thought we could replicate that model with sports and trading cards. And thus far, it's been very successful for us.
I will say, whoever was in the meeting that decided on your guys' actual holder itself, you guys knocked it out of the park on that one. I've said it in many different videos, and this is not just because you guys are here. I said it well before I even knew I was having you guys on as guests. Holder-wise, you guys just smoke everybody else. That thing, it feels amazing in hand, and it is by far and away one of the clearest holders that I've had in hand. I remember the first time, even before you guys switched labels, seeing one at the show for the first time and just kind of picking it up, and I'm like, this is a whole different beast in person. So I encourage anyone out there, if you've not held one of their holders in your hand, if you see one at a show, ask a dealer to hold it. Like, you guys definitely nailed it on the holder standpoint.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, we tasked our R&D team, which includes people, full-time employees and people, external vendors. We tasked them. We said, if Apple were designing a sports card holder, what would it look like? What would it feel like? Because we really feel like the holder becomes a part of the collectible. Once the collectible is encapsulated in it, that really is part of the aesthetics of that collectible. And it took a long time, but yeah, we were really, really happy with the results of that design process.
Yeah, you guys definitely nailed it on that one. Andy, I want to pivot over to you for a minute.
Yeah.
So you've been in the grading space for a really long time, correct? I think what, over 20 years now, or close to 20 years?
Yeah. So this is my 23rd year grading professionally.
How how was it? Because you were very early on the CSG side of things. I have to imagine it was exciting to kind of start from the ground up and kind of mold things kind of to a degree the way that you wanted it. Can you kind of talk about the process of actually putting together a grading team from essentially scratch?
Yeah. So, I was very early. I was the first CSG employee.
Oh, wow. No earlier then.
Yeah. So myself, Weston Reeves, who is our senior modern grading finalizer, we set out to put a team together. And, with our experience, Weston has nearly 10 years experience professional grading himself. So we knew what we wanted. We knew what needed to be different. We knew what needed to be the same. We knew everything we needed to have in place. It was just a matter of putting the plan in place and go, hiring the right people. We were fortunate that we were able to hire some people with some experience in the grading space. We also have a lot of new guys and gals that came on board that had to go through our training process. And one of the things that I pride myself on is our training. We have an actual classroom in our card grading facility, card grading building. We have a classroom where we conduct actual classroom training. As Dr. Webb, he's on board with us now, and he is instrumental in heading up our education program for our entire CCG, not just CSG and CGC trading cards. So we did a program called the CSG Academy last year. Mm-hmm. And we had over 100 people by invite. They applied to come out. And for 2 days, we had a boot camp for grading, where we spent the entire day, myself and some of my other staff. We essentially trained people how to grade. We did live grading on stage. We showed them a ton of material. And then Sunday, we actually conducted grading tests, just a test just like what we give. If you were to come in and apply to be a grader, you would have to take an assessment test first to see where you're at. And so, that's how we train. We start very basics. We start in the classroom. We start with hands-on with the cards. This is what not only the grades look like. This is what an altered card looks like. This is a counterfeit card. This is the technology that you'll have at your disposal as a grader to detect these things. So that's how we built the team. And, education, it doesn't stop. It's not something that, okay, everybody's on board. I think we have just over 50 graders for both sports cards and trading cards right now. But it doesn't stop. We're continuously training and learning. And that's also why Dr. Webb is with us, the head of our education. And that's in every part of the grading. It's not just for graders. It's for verifiers, receivers, encapsulation, imaging, the whole gamut. Everybody goes through training process, and we do ongoing training. So that's really big for us. So that, the big thing about putting together a grading team and maintaining a grading team, it's a very tight knit group. Number one, you are with your counterparts more than your family when you include travel and shows and whatnot. And so you become a tight knit team. You got to mesh well together, but also the consistency. Consistency is the number one thing in the grading. We've seen it for years and years from all companies. Consistency can get off. You get off the line, and that affects the product, the graded card. So maintaining that consistency, it's all part of the education. So that's a little bit about how we build and maintain our grading teams.
Yeah, I have to imagine that was pretty exciting to be able to just kind of like. I'm sure you've been in the game for a while. I'm sure you've always sat around and been like, man, if I could just start this from scratch, this is what I would do. And not a lot of people actually get the opportunity to go execute that plan and then kind of carry it forward through the various steps. Question for I don't know who would be best to answer this. Could go ahead and take it. there's been a lot of talk, the CGC versus CSG thing, those are viewed as two separate teams. Is that accurate, or is it like one, like do you guys view it as two separate like mini companies or one company, or how does that align?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Andy.
Okay, I was going to say, we are separate in the way we grade. We have two separate teams. So meaning my sports guys, we're not seeing a Pokemon card. We're not seeing a Magic the Gathering, because we have experts for those. That's all they do. And I know some of, the competition that they have, they have some expertise that can do certain things, whether it's Pokemon or pre-war or ultra modern, whatever. But, we took that a step further. We have a dedicated team. These are people that are passionate about one thing, and it's trading cards only. And on my side, it's people that are, we're sports cards guys to the core. And so there's that separation. But, as a company, we're all under the Certified Collectibles group. We're fortunate to be able to share resources, share logistics and operations. So all that is streamlined, together, so we can work together. That's also what keeps our turnaround times low. But as far as the actual grading of the cards, that's where we separate. We have two separate teams. My counterpart on the trading card side, Matt Quinn, he runs that side. I run my side, and we work side by side. But but when it comes to card grading and what we're grading, we are separate.
Yeah, one thing that I think we've done really successfully across all of our different verticals is that we hire people who are collectors themselves. Like, they love what they're doing. Like, this is, for a lot of people, is their dream job. And when they come in, they're grading what they're an expert in, what they're really passionate about. So if you're sending in a sports card, you can trust that it's going to be a sports card collector, a sports card expert who's grading that. If you're sending a Pokemon card, it's going to go to people who love Pokemon cards and are experts in that. Although we share a lot of our resources, like encapsulation resources, receiving people, in the grading team, it is very specialized. And I think that ensures the quality of the product that people are getting, because the people who are doing it also are the kind of people who would be a customer if they weren't a grader.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, for sure. Now, an interesting thing, and you discussed the CGC side and the CSG side and the two different scales and whatnot. You guys just recently went through about 5 months ago, kind of the shakeup of changing the grading scale, changing the label based off customer feedback. How, and I guess I'll start with Max, and then Andy, you could follow up. How big of a decision was that? I can't imagine that was something you guys took lightly. And could you kind of just like walk through the process of, hey, we're getting this feedback from the community, where do you get to the point where you got to rip that Band-Aid off versus saying, no, let's just keep sticking with what we're doing? Just kind of talk through that process, because that's, no grading company really, since SGC kind of switched their grading scale around for a while ago, it would be near impossible for some of the super established ones, I think, to switch. You guys were in the unique position that you were newer and could kind of make that transition before you got too far along. So could you guys just kind of talk about that whole process? Because I have to imagine that was a major decision.
Yeah, it definitely was a major decision, and we are very thoughtful and methodical in our approach to any sort of big decision like that. And what we had been hearing from a number of collectors or dealers was that the label needed to change, and there were other pieces of feedback that we were receiving. I mean, look, for a period of time, our turnaround times were too slow, so we were getting that kind of feedback from people. And so we said, look, if we want to do the right thing, we really need to take all this feedback into consideration and figure out, like, where should we be headed as a company? And fortunately, like you mentioned, it was still relatively early in our process. So the next step for us was we sent out a market survey. We surveyed thousands of people, literally thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people. And we got some real hard data that supported the decisions that we were making. And the survey data was very, very clear in what they wanted to see with our label. So we were able to start working on that. It was very clear what they wanted to see with our grading scale. And then, of course, I mentioned turnaround times. I mentioned, or some of the website resources. We learned a lot from our customers, and we took that feedback back, and it was a huge process. It probably involved dozens of people throughout the company. But as a result of that customer feedback, new label, new grading scale, pop report, we're working on a mobile app. And there's some other changes that are, coming down the pipeline.
Andy, anything you want to add on to that?
Yeah, no, Max pretty much nailed it. But that's the cool thing about Certified Collectibles Group, and one of the reasons why I'm here today. We're a forward-looking company. We're always looking for what's the next thing that we need to do. And we listen to the marketplace, we listen to customers. And, I think that even though as CSG, we're new to the marketplace, I hope, people, customers in the market realize that, hey, this was a change that needed to be made. It was a drastic change. That's a huge change for a company to make, but it was the right decision to make. And with data that backed that up, we made the change. We're not afraid to make the change when it's needed. Not to say we just change things on a whim, but
yeah, we're very methodological, or we're very careful with our decision making. Yeah, I'm having trouble now. It's late in the day. I'm having trouble with my pronunciations, but we're very careful and thoughtful with our decision making. And what we've seen after this change was made, very, very positive data supporting that we did make the right decision. I mean, our submissions have gone up significantly. I mean, they were already very high, but they've gone up significantly from those changes. The prices realized for our cards, I keep seeing in the market, and I'm seeing real data supporting that the prices realized for our cards are going up. And I think when people factor in, the price that they're paying for our services, which are the most economical of any of the big four services, our turnaround times are among the fastest in the hobby, if not the fastest, and our prices realized keep going up. I mean, to me, it's a very, very compelling case. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased here, but it's a very, very compelling dynamic. And I think we're starting to see that in the submissions that we're getting. I mean, a lot more people every week are seeing the value of CSG.
I know, I go to a lot of in Northeast Ohio here. We are blessed with a billion small local card shows, like the 40 to 75 table card shows. We probably have, I could probably go to 6 to 7 shows a month within an hour drive of me easily. And I noticed a lot more of your guys' holders in tables, just even compared from 3 months ago, especially the new labels. I'm seeing a lot more out of them. Andy, one thing I wanted to ask you, with the shift in the grading scale, obviously that was a monumental change. Did anything change with grading standards, or was it more just revamping what you guys were already doing and kind of tweaking things to apply to the new numerical, the tools that you had in your bucket to assign them to cards? Like, did anything actually shift behind the scenes, or was it more just, hey, a CSG 10 is our new gem mint instead of a 9.5?
The combination of things. Up until a year or so ago, we obviously we had the 9.5 gem mint scale was our scale that we started with, and up until about a year ago, that was a strong scale, that the marketplace liked that scale, and we modeled our scale somewhat based on that. But things changed. I personally think it's with a lot of what I call new blood in the industry. A lot of people that aren't maybe lifelong collectors, they're new to it, or they're just jumping in like what we saw during the pandemic, trying to make some extra money or start a new job by being a dealer. We saw that people wanted a gem mint to be 10. That the 10 is the number that everybody wants to see. It's the same grade. Gem mint 9.5 is a gem mint 10. So numerically, yes, it's different, but it's the same grade. So our standards didn't really change as far as the grading standard itself. We did make a few tweaks. Part of our research was that in the very beginning, we were a little tough on surface. We were tougher than we needed to be on surface. And so, we got that feedback in the market surveys and the focus groups that we did in relation to the label and the scale. And that was one of the things that, when you do that type of market research, you sometimes find out more things that you didn't even know you're looking for. But that was one of them. And so, we did make an adjustment. We didn't change the scale. We changed how we assess surface flaws and different, especially ultra modern, the chrome surfaces. Those are some things that we made some adjustments on. But the actual way we apply the standards to our grading, it really did not change at all.
Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations on the channel and videos and in live streams about people discussing the whole, tough versus fair. I think people don't want super tough grading. They don't want to be penalized for something that you can't visually see it on the card under 20x magnification or everything. But I think what people want is fair and consistent grading. I evaluate a card at home. I am pretty confident in this getting a 9.5 or a 10 and send it off and getting the 9.5 or a 10 versus getting a surprise 8 or something like that and just being like, wait, what? You know what I mean?
Well, and another thing, you mentioned this as well with our holder, which I'm very proud of our holder. But, you know, we're kind of held to a higher standard than our competition because our holder is the clarity on our holder is just, it's the top of the line, you know, it's the best in the market. And so you can see flaws better in our holders, honestly, you know, and so that's something that, you know, we've got to be consistent because of that. You know, we've got to make sure we're consistent in the way we apply the standards to not just surface, but everything, because, you know, just to be brutally honest, there's holders in the industry that do hide a lot of flaws. I'm sure, you know, you may have been a part of this, you know, or not, but you buy a card, you crack it, and it's like, oh, wow, I didn't see that on the surface, you know.
Yeah,
and so,
for sure.
And we're conscious of that. And that's one reason why we have the clarity that we have in our holder. We want to be able to see the card. You know, the card is the focus. We don't want the holder to be the focus. We want the card to be the focus. But because of that, you know, I feel like we are held to a little bit higher standard.
Now, one thing, you know, one of the big shifts that you guys made, obviously, was the removal of subgrades. And there is definitely, I see it in the comments on a lot of my videos, there is a vocal minority that is big time subgrades. But clearly your data showed, and clearly the secondary market shows that subgrades really aren't that big of a deal. But I think the main reason people like them is more so that they have an idea of what the card graded, what it graded. And I don't personally even believe that subgrades are the best way to show that. Do you think we ever get, and I know some some of the really small grading companies have started doing this, and I know that we obviously see it on the CGC side, on the comic book side. Do you think we ever get to the point, at least for like high-end sports cards, where we actually get legit grader notes, especially like on something like vintage? You know, ultra modern might be a different story, but on mid to high-end vintage or whatever, do you think there's a point where we get to where we can legit log on to CSG's website or CGC's and see like that listed grader notes like we see on the comic book side?
Yeah, it's not something that's on our radar at this moment, but you know, we never say never. It's definitely something that we can look at in the future. You know, if it's something that we receive a demand, you know, for, we'll listen. But it's not something we're working on right this minute.
One thing that I'd add, though, is that just education in general is so important to us. And so even if we don't sort of solve that through grader notes or through subgrades, we are all about posting informative articles, population data. We're working on building out a cards explorer so that people could learn more about individual cards. We're building a huge team of people who are collaborating very closely with our experts to produce educational videos or articles on a daily basis, even on basic social media posts. Like, everything we want to do, all right, it isn't just to market our services, but to actually give people information that can help them to make more informed decisions with their collecting. So I think the grader notes sort of fits within our general mission of education, but I think there's other ways to sort of educate people besides just grader notes.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of the things that we put out on the CSG side is, you know, I put out articles about counterfeits and alterations that we find, and I put out some really cool ones that not only show and explain what's going on and what we're looking at, but, you know, it actually showcase some of the technology that we use to detect counterfeits and alterations. So, you know, the education part is, education all around is huge for us, not just with our staff, but customers as well. Because, you know what, an informed customer, informed card collector it just makes the hobby better. That's the bottom line. You know, the more educated people are in the marketplace, let's face it, the less alterations and counterfeits can circulate. You know, it's as simple as that. The more education the average collector and dealer have, the more power they have. And you know, that and a stronger hobby helps us all.
For sure. I want to kind of dig in the next level on that. Are you guys seeing a lot of, you know, typically, I think people just generally on a macro level associate fakes and alterations with more like the vintage side of things. Are you guys seeing an increase in both fakes and alterations on modern to ultra modern, or is it still more kind of fall into that classic vintage line like it used to?
Well, you know, that's interesting because I've heard that quite a bit about the vintage and the modern, and it hasn't been that way. Really, modern. I mean, going back 20 years, you know, it was almost a running joke for over the years when I was grading. Is, you know, this Tuesday Bowman hits, we should have trim cards by Friday, and it's very true. So the difference now is that the alteration, the counterfeits are definitely becoming more sophisticated, especially ones we see originate overseas. But, you know, the alterations, you have a new generation of dealers and collectors, and unfortunately, you have a new generation of car doctors. And so, it's you build the better mousetrap. We work on our technology and ways in our training and ways to detect it, and then we have the other side that we have the crooks trying to hone their craft as well. But we've seen definitely a lot of altered cards here recently in the last 6 to 12 months. I'm sure you and your audience know, we're the company that authenticates the cards for the eBay authentication program, both sports cards and trading cards. And it's interesting to see the correlation between trends that we see on the grading side versus trends that we're seeing of stuff being sold on eBay. And it generally goes, if it's sold on eBay, it's getting graded next. So we can kind of see these patterns. And it's not slowing down. The alterations are still in full force, and we see a lot of altered cards. Counterfeits. Unfortunately, we see those. We don't see those as much as altered cards, but you do see a lot more counterfeit on the vintage side, but the counterfeits on the modern are definitely becoming more sophisticated. So it keeps us and our technology on our toes.
Yeah, and I just want to sort of expand upon that. We are so confident in the expertise of Andy and his team, and then the technology that they're using is that we guarantee everything. So we guarantee that every card that we certify is not overgraded, and we guarantee that it's authentic. So in the rare event that one of these guys makes a mistake, and there's multiple guys looking at every one of these cards just to make sure that somebody didn't, have a bad day or something. In the event that they do make a mistake, we have a financial guarantee where we will actually compensate the person for the fair market value of that card if it were genuine and if it were accurately graded. And we spend a ton of money to support our product, but I think that's one of the reasons why people should feel so confident buying CSG. So even though CSG is a new vertical, it's a new brand in sports cards, it's part of the Certified Collectibles Group owned by Blackstone, very large company, very large financial resources. We stand behind every single thing that we do, and we put our money where our mouth is.
Now, you mentioned Blackstone. That was that went down about a year ago when you guys were officially purchased?
Exactly a year ago. Yep.
Yeah.
How has that kind of leveled you guys up and allowed you to kind of take things to the to really expand and kind of go next level with the acquisition of that?
Yeah, it's been an awesome experience. With a private equity company, you really never know what to expect. But I could tell you with total honesty, it's been very refreshing working with the Blackstone folks. Basically, they see CCG as having its best years ahead of us. We've had 35 great years, but we appeal to them because every year we're growing by either launching new verticals, by adding new services, improving our services, new regions. We're looking to expand, internationally. We have been expanding internationally for many of our companies. And so because they feel so confident in the future of CCG, they're basically letting us reinvest everything and then some into the company. So they're not taking money out of the company. It's just the opposite. Like, they're basically saying, spend whatever it's going to take, upgrading technology, hiring the best experts, building out facilities. And so for the last year, we've just been so focused in building out the company. I mean, we're spending tens of millions of dollars just on technology, whether it's a brand new ERP system, new AI that's really much more sophisticated than anything we've seen before, and then some. I mean, it's just all about building the infrastructure so that in the next 3 to 5 years, we're prepared for the continued growth of the collectibles market.
You mentioned technology there, and I kind of wanted to dive into that really quickly, especially for you, Andy, because you've been in this space for a long time on the grading side of things. How has technology really changed the game for you guys, and how are you kind of leveraging that now on, AI grading is something that's kind of thrown around as a buzzword, I think, sometimes, and you guys could probably speak to it better than I can. Do you ever see a day where a human is not involved in grading, or do you think that there will always need to be someone there to kind of back up and say, okay, computer, you did your job correctly? Where do you see technology now, and where do you kind of see it going?
Yeah, that's AI is thrown around a lot. It's like anything else. You see it on TV, see it in the movies, but how many people actually work with real AI technology in our daily lives? And there's not a lot of us. And it's a small percentage, in the workforce, but it's growing. And, real AI is not like what you see in the movies or in the media. Real AI is there, like, as far as it applies to grading, it's there to assist the grader. We have the expert grader, but we are able to use this new technology to assist them, to give them more tools, to give them more data, more information about the card, and makes their job, it streamlines their job. Do I see computers replacing graders? Well, I think I'm about halfway through with this life, so probably not in my lifetime. So I'll never say never, but it's AI is not something that's, we're not developing it to completely take over the human aspect of grading, because there's just so many minute and finite things that the human does. The human brain and the human eye, they're quite amazing. So instead of thinking in terms of AI is going to take over card grading or take over whatever, people should think in terms of AI is going to assist these experts to be better at their jobs, to be more consistent, to be more accurate. That's the great thing is, attribution is one of the biggest things with AI. What is this? What is this card? What are the details about this card? What should I know about it? Is this a heavily counterfeited card? Oh, here's 12 examples of what this card is. It's fake. That sort of thing. That's what AI is helping to do. It also helps with the grades. This is what, based on the technology, this is this grade. And so it still comes down to that expert senior grader to be able to look at the data and go, yeah, I agree, or no, I don't agree. And so, replacing that human element, that expertise, I don't see it anytime real soon. Eventually I'm sure it probably will happen, but where we are now in today's world, it's there as an assistant.
Max, are you seeing on the comic and coin side, are you seeing a lot of technological advancements on that side too? I know a lot of the focus seems to be on AI grading on the card side. Is there things happening on that side too that are kind of leaping those grading platforms forward?
Yeah, well, what's cool about the Certified Collectibles group is that we handle the broadest range of collectibles. So everything that we're doing for sports cards, we're doing for coins, we're doing it for comics, and vice versa. So if we see that something works really well within one of our divisions, we're going to apply it across every one of our divisions. So this AI program, which we literally are spending millions of dollars in, like, this is legit big boy AI stuff. Like, it's not something that's measuring the centering of a card. Like, this is real. These are some real geniuses who are employing, much smarter than myself, who are coming in and figuring this stuff out. So we're doing that with sports cards. We're also doing that with coins. Some of the anti-counterfeiting technology that we're using, which is not AI based, it's the same kind of stuff that the Homeland Security Department, the FBI, that they're using to detect forged documents. So we brought in, all sorts of really smart people from outside of our company, figure out what other industries are doing well, and we're just learning from that. I mean, to Andy's comment earlier about continuous improvement, like, our goal is just to keep learning and keep improving. And I think we have a great service right now, but I think it's going to be better next year. And we're doing it through technology. We're also doing it by hiring the best experts, building out this training program. I mean, there's so much to do. I'm really proud of what we've done, but there's still a never-ending list of things to do. And that's what's exciting about the job. Like, everything just keeps getting better.
You mentioned the eBay authenticity program a little bit earlier, and I wanted to kind of circle back to that. One of, I had opened, I had put a note out in one of my recent videos asking the viewers for questions for you guys, and there was two that were the most prevalent by far. The first one was, will there, and I don't expect you guys to necessarily announce anything today, but is it on a whiteboard somewhere, the ability to, while my card is there being authenticated, having the option to also have it graded as well? Is that something maybe we could look forward to in the future?
I love the idea. I think it's probably a better question for eBay, but if they're interested in doing something like that, we're all about that. I mean, they have their own objectives. We love working with eBay. I mean, their team is awesome. They're really smart. But it's really their decision.
Okay, I wasn't sure how much of that was. I wasn't sure how that relationship. I'm sure it's a little symbiotic between the two of you guys, and I have to imagine business will be picking up as well with the eBay Vault stuff and all that stuff as well. But has that, how has that? What was the decision process like to decide to go into the authenticity side of things?
It wasn't a difficult decision. eBay did an RFP process. I don't think I'm sharing anything secretive, but they did an RFP process, and we just said, well, look, eBay is the biggest marketplace for sports cards as well as basically any other collectible. We want to be working with eBay, and so we put our heads together and we figured out what's our most compelling offer. And eBay selected us, and they did so after extensive evaluation. They toured our facility, and it's been a great process. They've been, it's public information. They've been ramping up the volume of cards that they're doing. Like, they've been expanding the category, and I do think the vault is just another exciting development in this marketplace. I mean, sports cards has seen so much innovation lately. I think the eBay vault is yet another service that will benefit the hobby. And so, even if we don't directly benefit from that, tangentially, we'll still benefit from the hobby growing.
Yep, for sure. And I've seen lots of lots of posts on social media of like, hey, I bought, and a lot of times it is vintage, but some modern stuff too. I purchased this card and went through the authenticity program, and it was rejected. Like, sweet, like it saved me from potentially getting either, depending on what you guys catch, whether it's a fake or an altered or whatever is going on with that card. And is that a completely separate team from the grading teams? Like, is that its own unique entity?
Yeah, no, that's so interesting. Is that Andy's actually? I mean, he was just telling me this morning. He sometimes is in that eBay grading room or eBay authenticity doing the authentication work, or Weston Reeves is doing the same work too. So it's the same people who you would see grading your cards. I mean, we rotate people in and out of all the different departments, but no, it's the same quality, same expertise that you'd get anywhere in our company.
Yeah, to Mac's point, when we sat down with eBay, the whole point of this is it's eBay authentication. We're not just saying, yes, this is the right card according to the description of the auction. It's also our expertise. Is it altered? Is it counterfeit? All these things. And these aren't things that we can just hire somebody off the street and sit them down and go, okay, now you're part of the eBay program. So these are actual trained graders who grade, who are working in the eBay department. And as Max said, there's many afternoons where I'm over there assisting, helping out, not only helping the guys, help to also further train. There's 23 years of grading and over 30 collecting. It's amazing. There's still stuff that comes through eBay that I've never even seen, which is really cool. So yeah, it's a hands-on. This isn't something that's just kind of cast to the side and we just hired some people to run it. This is no different than the experts in our grading room.
Awesome. I know we're getting a little short on time here, but there are two big questions that I want to make sure that we squeeze in. And it is the most asked question that I got when I put this out there. And it was one of the top questions on my lists. Non-sports cards, Marvel cards, that sort of stuff. As of right now, you guys do not accept those at either CGC or CSG. Is that something that we could look forward to in the future? I know the audience and the market would love to see Marvel cards and CGC blue labels to match the comic books, but is that something that's in the pipeline potentially?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, non-sport is a huge market, and we know it. I'm a non-sport guy too. I love vintage non-sport. I'm also a big Garbage Pail Kid guy too. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
If I got to actually, that's been a big thing of mine. So yes, non-sport is a huge deal. As you said, Marvel is also it's almost its own entity, from non-sport. But yeah, it's in the works. We fully know the importance of non-sport and we love it. So it's just a matter of time here soon. We'll be able to say more.
That's great to hear. Like I said, I know a lot of people personally that are specifically Marvel, once again, specifically because I talk a lot of Marvel cards on the channel, that are holding Marvel cards back for the day when you guys accept them. So you guys should be pretty busy right off the get for those. And then the last big thing that I wanted to talk about, and if we have time, I'll sneak in a few others, but you guys recently had a price increase, and I kind of wanted to let you guys kind of chat about that. Was that more, we have seen grading companies in the past, and you guys mentioned it before with the backlog that you guys did have. You don't really have one anymore, just a little bit of one. You guys are pretty quick on the turnaround times for the most part. And you guys still, even with the small price increase, still have, like, as you mentioned earlier, Max, the most competitive prices around, I believe, where you're right there with everyone else, and in some cases quite a bit cheaper. Was that more about, some grading companies will pull that lever to kind of slow down incoming submissions, or was it just a simple case of, hey, literally everything is more expensive and we need to kind of adjust for what is going on in the general state of the world?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I mean, we have really worked hard to expand our capacity, so we do have the ability to service surges. I don't think that people are ever going to see a scenario where we were backlogged like we were a year ago. I mean, it's night and day where we're at right now between people, technology, facilities, etc. It's just a matter of look. We believe in the service that we're providing. We purchase the best quality holders. We purchase secure labels that are archival. We have the best graders. We pay them very well. As our costs go up, we thought that a modest increase would be reasonable. And like I said, and you reiterated, we're still the most economical choice, and we're the fastest with our turnaround times, and you get a great product. So it just makes sense. It was a modest price increase just to offset some of the cost increases that look we're all feeling right now.
Yeah, just to get a tank of gas is pretty pricey these days, let alone I can only imagine the stuff that you guys are seeing, just both for a supply chain, just actually purchasing the goods that you need to do to slab the cards, in addition to labor costs and all that other stuff. So Max, I know you have another thing that you need to get to, so we'll go ahead and wrap this up here. I want to be very respectful of your guys' time. So once again, thank you guys very much for coming on. Is there anything you guys want to, are you guys going to be at the National? I assume, will you be grading on site at the National, or just a presence?
Nope, we will be grading on site.
Oh, did you guys grade on site last year, or were you guys?
We did actually. That was our first
show,
first National, and we did grade on site. And just so your fans and viewers know, well, actually, we will be in the corporate area this year. We were in the kind of off to the Breakers Pavilion last year, so this year we'll be in the corporate area. But yeah, and we've already had a great response from just the people, dealers and whatnot that we've already talked to. So anybody that's going to the National, love to stop by and talk. But if you're going to submit cards, I would hit them early. If you're a dealer, try to get them on Tuesday, because we're already anticipating, if not hitting capacity fast, we're going to fill up fast. So
now, will people be able to submit cards there and not have them graded there? Like, say I just wanted to drop off like 50 cards for you guys to take back to Florida and grade and then ship out to me. Is that an option as well?
Absolutely.
On-site grading? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And that saves you shipping. I encourage, any show that we're at to drop your cards off, because, like I said, it saves shipping. We take the responsibility. We get it back to our facilities, and you're golden.
And you guys are pretty aggressive on shows. I think I saw you guys at Atlanta, if I remember correctly, but you guys get out to a lot of the mid-tier shows, don't you?
Yeah, we're expanding our show presence. We've got quite a few this year, but as we expand and our services here at home, we want to maintain our turnaround time. So, unfortunately, we can't hit every show we really want to, but yes, we are aggressive with our shows, and next year we'll be even more aggressive.
Yeah, at this point, it's all about building awareness. We for the customers that have already tried us, the feedback that we're getting is really, really positive about our label, our grading scale, our holders, you name it. But there's a lot of people who just haven't heard about us, and that's why we wanted to participate in this program. That's why we're going to so many different shows. I mean, the message that I would leave people with is, give us a shot if you haven't tried us. Like, I think right now with our new label, our updated grading scale, it's the best time, our fast turnaround times, our pricing, it's the best time to submit to CSG. So the one thing I would leave is, like, even if you're trying one card, test us out, see what you like. I think you'll be happy with the results.
Awesome. All right, gentlemen, once again, thank you very, very much for the time, and you guys have a good day, and hopefully we'll cross paths at the National.
Yeah, please come by.
All right. See you later, guys.
Thanks so much.